So Alex Jones went on Tim Pool's podcast, and I didn't watch all of it. I watched some of it. And suffice to say, Alex Jones is far too crazy for Tim Pool. Take a look at this.
What I'm getting at is the globalists are obsessed with that, and so they're not into interstellar travel so much as they're into interdimensional travel. And that's what the Aztecs and the Babylonians, all of them are into. But the only type of entities that will communicate with us are lower level, because higher level ones won't interfere in a developing sub-civilization. And so kind of like the space trash comes in, and it's more like a gremlin and just wants to see us kill kids and drink blood and do horrible things, because that thrills them interdimensionally. So that's why these creatures always ask for blood, always ask for children. Then they'll give you a little bit of knowledge they have about what they've seen and done. I'm not saying I've seen that. I'm not saying I believe that. I've never taken DMT. I'm not doing that. The globalists are doing that. And
thank you so much for inviting me.
So but I should shut up. The point is, but you're asking about transdimensional stuff.
I think the higher dimensional ones are communicating with us, but our brains as radio receivers aren't tuned to the right frequency to hear it.
Exactly. We're operating in a lower animal brain, and that tunes into to the demon channel.
Okay, so a few things I want to say. Okay, wait. So
you can tune to channels. He's right, and the one we tune to is like.
Get food, get warm. When you say globalists, there are powerful international interests who believe weird stuff.
Yes, there are a lot of powerful rich people that want to have immortality and want to explore and want to know the secrets of the universe. So they've paid trillions, the equivalent of trillions out since the 1850s to Sir Francis Galton and others to break on through to the other side.
Right.
Break on through to the other side. They're having groups of people take this, having the same experience going into these dimensions, talking to these aliens. They believe they're aliens, but that they're sneaky, they lie, they're basically demons. They're like clockwork elves. So I'm sitting in the back of the car hearing my mom drive along with somebody who's, they're talking in front of them. I'm 6, 7, 8, 9 years old repeatedly. And so these are research scientists in San Francisco in a university study, at the Psychedelic Research Institute or whatever it's called. I'm going back from memory. And then it's actually people on different hallucinogenic drips, long-term going in, like mapping everything and then coming out of it, writing it all down what they saw, then going back trying to communicate. And the things always say, we want you to kill children.
Why? That's where you lose me, right? It's like the weirdest thing.
No, I mean,
it starts off with this amazing, fantastic journey of through the back in the ward. You go through the back of the. Imagine this.
Why do you think Joseph Mengele did it? Why do you think?
Okay, hold on. Let me.
What do you think these people are into?
There's a story about several children.
Sauron doesn't want gold. He wants children's blood.
Let me tell you a story. A bunch of children are playing hide and seek in their family home as their parents are out and about working. When one of the young children goes to open the wardrobe to go and hide, but behind in the back of the wardrobe, there is no wall.
Narnia.
And they stumble into this amazing winter wonderland where a giant lion rises up and says, "Bring me the blood of children." See, that's where you lose me.
Well, no, they want the blood of the lion in that story. But
I know. It's like you start off with this fantastic journey. It's like they want to meet the interdimensional.
Listen, you asked for the proof. Every culture builds pyramids and starts cutting children's hearts out.
What? What? Now, by the way, Tim Pool goes on to say, every culture? And then Alex Jones is like, well, almost every culture. Listen, Tim Pool is not my cup of tea, but at least in this back and forth, you got to give him credit because he's trying, man. He's trying. He's like, all right, hold on. So I like when he tries to kitchen table it all and simplify it at the beginning. He's like, all right, so you're saying that there's a bunch of globalists, powerful people internationally who are into some weird stuff. Yeah, Tim, that's one way of describing and summing up what he said, but let me be a little more specific. He says that you have globalists who are into interstellar travel, but they can't really do interstellar travel, so they do interdimensional travel, and the way that they do that is they take DMT, but their brains get tuned into the demon channel when they do it. And then they see gremlins who want to see us kill kids, and they ask for blood. I mean, there's so many assumptions to unpack here, but even the idea that Alex Jones is convinced that when you take a drug, you go to another dimension. When you take a hallucinogenic or psychedelic drug, you go to another dimension. We don't know that for sure at all. I mean, I guess it's possible, but it's also possible that in the same way when you go to sleep, you have a dream, and the dream feels incredibly real. Like, you have no idea that you're dreaming when you're dreaming over 90% of the time, right? Well, maybe it's the same thing when you take a hallucinogenic or psychedelic drug that, you feel like something is real, but it's not real. It's just in your mind. So even the original assumption of like we're going somewhere to another dimension and these entities are real, even that's a little disconnected from reality. And that, the fact that he's so convinced, it might be a symptom of some issue that he has, whether it's bipolar disorder, whether it's schizophrenia or something of that nature. I mean, he seems really, really convinced about stuff he has no idea about. And so why isn't there evidence of globalists eating children and stuff? There's no evidence of that. I have a million issues with the people who really run the world. I put the blame squarely at their feet for most things. But they're not eating kids. And when you say that, you actually undermine the case against them because you're so hyperbolic and you're so over the top that you make people feel sympathetic to these greedy idiots who run everything. They're eating kids. I mean, I guess he might argue, if I'm being overly kind to him, which I shouldn't be, but I will be for a second, maybe he would say, oh, the killing kids part is like abortion. But, it's I'm sure the numbers are overwhelming that the people getting abortions are more middle class and lower class people because there are just more middle class and lower class people than people in the top 1%. It is literally like 1% or fewer, probably a fraction of the top 1%. So what are you talking about? That's what I'm saying. Even Tim Pool, and by the way, Tim Pool is very well known for repeatedly predicting a civil war is coming. So it's not like this guy is the height of rationality and logic, but even he's like, what? Like, you lost me. Slow down. Tim Pool's a guy who predicted Donald Trump would win in a landslide victory. I think one time he may have even said over 400 electoral votes. This guy is even like, I don't get, you lost me. You said the globalists are into some weird stuff, but now all of a sudden we get, they're going to kill kids, they're going to sacrifice kids, they're going to eat kids or something, and they want the blood of kids, and, this is a giant problem. Listen, I thought about it a lot, and I realized what my biggest issue with Alex Jones is. And this is really important. If you take away anything from this segment, this should be it. Alex Jones takes anti-establishment energy because he has a big audience, he has a lot of followers, even though he's been censored in 14 different ways. And by the way, I'm against that censorship because that was just the beginning. There was a slippery slope, and now everybody and their mother is getting censored. We should have never opened that door in the first place. But anyway, I digress. Alex Jones takes very real anti-establishment sentiment among his audience, and he wastes it. He completely wastes it. Because what he does is he makes people take all of their energy and go down these rabbit holes, and there's zero productivity in that. So in other words, if you take, and I'm guilty of this to myself in the past, like I dabbled in the 9/11 conspiracy stuff, but then one day I realized, like, well, hold on now. What's the end game here? Like, what am I thinking about this and looking at this stuff all the time for? What's the best that I could have happen? Well, they always said, just open up a new investigation. So they're going to open up a new investigation. The same people who theoretically were involved in the plot and conspiracy to take down the towers in the first place, they're going to investigate it, and they're going to then tell you the truth and blow the whistle on themselves and people in their own social class. Well, that doesn't make any sense, because obviously the same people who think it's a big conspiracy, if the new investigation and report doesn't, validate their priors, they're going to say, well, this is also part of the conspiracy. So what am I doing here? I'm taking anti-establishment energy and I'm squandering it. I'm squandering it on nihilism and going down paths that are totally fruitless. See, I want people to take their anti-establishment energy and do something with it. Why do we hate the establishment? Well, the answer is very simple. The establishment has been screwing us for decades. Drug prices are too high. Wages are too low. We got endless wars going on. Our infrastructure's falling apart. We have a government that doesn't represent us. They represent corporations and billionaires. That's the establishment. So if you have this anti-establishment feeling and fervor, you should harness it towards positive ends. How so? You get involved. Go join a union to get people higher wages. Go do direct issue advocacy and try to get legalized marijuana or $15 minimum wage on the ballot in a state that has direct ballot initiatives. Go join the DSA or go join whatever. If you're anti-establishment and you're libertarian leaning, go join the Libertarian Party. But do some shit, right? Do something positive take the energy and use it. Use it for a protest movement. Use it for direct issue advocacy. Use it to join a party. Use it to run for office. Alex Jones takes all of this anti-establishment energy, which is real and is legitimate and matters and is good, and he redirects it towards people thinking about globalists being vampires and harvesting kids and wanting to kill kids and wanting their blood, and there's no evidence for any of this stuff. And the idea that, like, what, everybody who's a globalist or a billionaire or whatever, like, don't get me wrong, do I think there are, like, pedo sex rings among the elite? Well, absolutely, we have proof for that, Jeffrey Epstein. Do I think that everybody in the elite takes DMT and thinks they're communicating with another dimension and they're doing interdimensional travel and they're talking to little gremlin people? No! No! You went too far! Just like Tim Pool said. You might start with a kernel of truth, but then you're out in La La Land. You know? By the same token, listen, of course Alex Jones was correct that, you know, he was saying the NSA was spying on everybody before anybody realized it. That's just one example of many things that he's gotten right over the years, but it's, you take a kernel of truth and then you extrapolate it way beyond what a logical conclusion would be. And, you know, that's my biggest issue with him. He takes this anti-establishment energy and then gets people to squander it and waste it in fruitless ways where, you know, nothing good comes of it. You have to take that anti-establishment energy and use it for good. Use it for good. And don't even get me started on the whole, like, he's so anti-establishment that he wound up backing Donald Trump, who was nothing but a servant to the establishment. Donald J. Trump governed like George W. Bush. And Alex Jones was a huge critic of George W. Bush, but he wasn't a huge critic of Trump. Trump kept us in Syria. Trump kept us in Iraq. Trump kept us, despite what he says, we were still in Afghanistan when he left. He had 4 years to get us out. He didn't get us out of there. He didn't get us out of there. Trump's biggest legislative accomplishment was a tax cut where 83% of the benefits of it went to the top 1%. The elites, the globalists that Alex Jones postures against. So that's another way in which not only is he wasting anti-establishment energy, he's redirecting it back into the establishment. So maybe he is the conspiracy. Oh, man. Alex Jones, we got a globalist gremlin rant about interdimensional travel, and gremlins want to see kids killed and the blood of the kids, and I'll try my best, Alex. Now, I'm not a fan. I've never actually done hallucinogenic or psychedelic drugs. I don't think it's my cup of tea. It might be, I don't know. But I more prefer uppers and downers. Tweaking my mood is fine, going up or down, but seeing Scooby-Doo when he's not there is not necessarily my thing. But if I ever do take a psychedelic drug like that, I'll try my best not to tune into, using his words, the demon channel as I do it. So there's also plenty of people who aren't globalist elites who do hallucinogenic drugs. And by the way, plenty of people have positive experience. He makes it seem like there's only one experience and it's always a bad trip. No, there's plenty of people who do these psychedelic drugs and they have positive experiences and they don't see gremlins and demons. I don't know, man. The dude needs help. Far too crazy, even for Tim Pool.